Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be giving you tips and advice on how to win the new Kawasaki Ninja H2R in its championship. There was sure a lot of hype building up to this bike, it being the fastest bike in the game and the second fastest vehicle in the game when supercharged. So does it live up to these expectations? Well, I'm going to tell you today and let you see by driving this bike just how it drives, and I'll tell you how I think it will perform at different ranks and with different tunings. So let's get started with the first time attack on Dubai. I would have liked to show you guys the first tour of the championship when I first started to show my initial reactions to the bike, but unfortunately I did not record it because I was not originally planning to make a video about this bike. But I got a lot of requests for it, so I decided to. It is probably the worst drifting bike in the game, as you can see around there, and that is the first of its many downsides. Its handling is okay, but the other thing you probably will notice besides its horrible drifting is that its nitro efficiency is quite bad. It is actually the worst in the game, equivalent to cars like the Dodge Dart or the Holden Coupe or anything with that really bad nitro efficiency. Likewise, its supercharged boost also lasts an extremely short amount of time. I believe this bike has the worst nitro efficiency of any bike in the game. Another downside to this bike is it's not exactly the most stable. Now, with normal driving, it's usually fairly stable, but there have been times when it just randomly turns to the wall and wrecks. It also seems to be rather easy to crash when you bump something, and it doesn't seem that you hit it quite hard enough to wreck. So the first pieces of advice I want to give in this video are how in the world to drive this bike, because it is quite difficult to drive. So you will need to drift a lot. I would recommend using a nitro starter in most of the challenges simply because they have relatively stiff time goals, especially if you're not upgraded that much. And because of its horrible nitro efficiency, you're going to be running out of nitro all the time, especially if you don't use a nitro starter. And obviously, tuning kit is recommended if you get to a challenge that you cannot beat with just a nitro starter. When driving this bike, you'll need to remember that it actually drives more like a car than a bike, because it does not have the extremely good drifting and handling of some other bikes in the game. So you've got to drift earlier than you would in other bikes, and really just treat it like a car instead of a bike with the driving dynamics. And just a little side note, for anybody who does not know how to complete a championship, all you have to do is complete the first goal of each challenge and the grand finales. You don't have to complete the extra goals in each challenge to get the car or bike in this case. Those are just needed to give extra parts and stuff, but they're not needed to win the vehicle. So now I'm going to get to the tuning for this bike. It's a very interesting and unique bike in that it only has 5 levels of upgrades like cars, and not 10 levels of upgrades in the max upgrades like all the other bikes do. I'm not sure why they decided to do this, but it is an interesting choice. So my current tuning is 0500 because upgrading top speed on this bike is much more efficient than upgrading nitro, and in pro kits I have 1050. Now the reason I have not upgraded tires more is because those little purple techs over there to the right, the rare tech, they're very hard to come by, and I've found that the more you keep of something in your inventory, the more likely Gameloft is to give you that part. So therefore I usually try to keep those techs and stuff as long as I can, unless I absolutely need them to continue. Like, say it was getting to the point where I couldn't pass unless I upgrade it, then I would upgrade it. Now, if you have a lot of tokens, you actually might be better off paying for them and running out, because then they are more likely to show up in exclusive deals where you can buy them. But I don't usually like to do that. So I said that top speed was much more efficient than nitro. And that was a weird flat spin there. Okay, so you should upgrade tires and drivetrain after you upgrade top speed. So I guess the base tune should be 0500 5050 like it is with most cars. I would say you can definitely win this bike with that top speed only tune, but if you feel that you can't, or you just wish to tune it higher for higher ranked use in multiplayer, then the next thing to do would be to max nitro, especially if you don't have enough techs and parts to do exhaust or suspension, or fork tubes as I think it's called on the bike. There's one thing though that you probably should do to this bike that I wouldn't really recommend doing on any other vehicles, and I will explain why. Handling is a good thing to upgrade on this bike. So the reason being, number one, its handling isn't that great and it drifts really badly, so that would definitely help with that. But also, that will make the white spaces in the stunt thing that appears on the left bigger, so you can actually get the supercharge more often. And since this bike has a 20 miles per hour supercharge with its maximum speed tune, you can see how being in supercharge as much as possible would be extremely important. And yeah, this is my first fail, actually, of this tour. But unfazed, I decided that I would just try again because I had plenty of tires left, plenty of time, and I just lost because of a wreck. So I decided to try again. Unfortunately, this bike can be a little bit hard to drive, and that is one thing that I want to warn you guys about. If you do manage to win it, I'm not sure exactly how reliable it's going to be in multiplayer, even if its speed is extremely good. Just because, just generally, bikes are easier to wreck than cars, and they're less stable. Even the more stable ones are less stable than cars. So if you win this bike, definitely practice with it quite a lot on a variety of tracks, with a variety of turns and curves and ramps and stuff, just to get a good feel for it before you take it out into multiplayer, because that will definitely help you a lot, and it will probably prevent you from a bunch of fails due to, well, dumb things like I just did. I thought, though, that I probably would be able to win this because I am ahead of myself last time, but unfortunately, I still did not manage to get to the end on time. I got closer, but not quite enough. So, I decided to try again. Never give up, guys, in the championship or any event like R&Ds or Enduro Double Downs or whatever, where you're not extremely pressed for time, especially if the vehicle is very, very good. And if you are pressed for time, don't hesitate to spend tokens to get an extremely good vehicle. Because the thing is, tokens are in the game to help you get through stuff to get rewards. And what better rewards are there than cars that may be kings of their classes on certain tracks, or bikes such as this one that may be king on a few tracks at least. So I hope that puts it into perspective for some of you that really hesitate to spend many tokens at all on events like these, because really, what else are you gonna spend them on that's better? There aren't really any token cars in the game that are extremely good aside from the Vulcan, and the new ones that are coming out, such as this bike and the Apollo IE, can beat the Vulcan on, well, a lot of tracks. I don't actually know how many tracks this bike can beat the Vulcan on, but probably as many as you can stay in supercharge in, at least for half the track. Which would be ones like San Diego Harbor Reverse, or maybe Barcelona or Nevada. I don't exactly know the times, but those are some possible ones. So during the final race, the grand finale of Dubai, I would like to show you guys some tunes that me and some people on Purple Team have found. I will say that since the bike is not on the Asphalt 8 tuner, I could not just experiment with different tunes. These are very specific ones that I picked up, and I don't really have any way of getting other ones. So these will have to do. Okay, so the very first one is one that I came up with, which is 0505-5555, which gives the maximum speed of 307 miles per hour at a rank of 1671 and the supercharged speed of 327. This is the same as the speed at Max Pro. Mr. Mysterious Spyman found the second tune, 4544 and 5151, which is at a rank of 1680, I believe. It goes 302 miles per hour without supercharge, and the supercharged speed is probably around 317 miles per hour. Now, this tune is quite a bit slower. However, it will be much easier to actually get into supercharge mode because of the larger white areas needed to get perfect stunts. Also, it will drift better and accelerate better, which may lead to fewer knockdowns at the start. So I honestly do not know which one of these is better. I will have to see what I feel like upgrading to as I go through the R&D. And I may just end up at the 05005050 tune to win it and figure out after the R&D exactly what multiplayer tune I want to go to around 1680-ish. I found out these last three tunes from Gaurav Sawant. They all end up at a rank of 1679, and they all have approximately a speed of 304-ish miles per hour without supercharge, and 321-ish with supercharge. The speeds of these three I am not entirely sure of at all. I just calculated them based on the speeds that the other tunes give. Interestingly, the same tune that gives the 1679 Vulcan also gives the 1679 Kawasaki Ninja. Imagine that! However, I am leaning quite toward the final tune, which gives the best drifting and the best stunt zones. Alright, so this concludes my tips, tricks, and advice video for the Kawasaki Ninja H2R. Thank you all so much for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you found the information in it to be helpful and useful for winning the second fastest vehicle in the game. Consider subscribing to see more Asphalt 8 content. I mostly do multiplayer videos, but I also make tips, tricks, and advice videos like this one, and I also do event videos sometimes. So, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!